Hi, this is Arik,
And Aurelia,
and we're here to talk about life and interesting things.
or so we think, but in the end, we let you be the judge of that.
Either way, what we have to talk about is Ageless! Alright, so actually, this is a new moon episode. We're having the second new moon of Cancer. We're in that window. So, as always, I think sometimes just different energies are coming up on the new moon, huh?
Very different. For me, it's even very, very late to do this ageless because I just passed out from the energy of the new moon.
Yeah, we both did actually, and I do have to say, in the moon's defense, it was void of course, like right after. It was new. And I don't know about you guys, but when the moon is void of course for us, we're like, man.
Laying on our back, all fours in the air.
I mean, the moon's just really intense. But so even though the moon is new, I thought we would just kind of continue the conversation about vows that you brought up from last week's episode, because it's just such a big subject that I feel like we just have to talk about it, on Ageless, actually. So, we talked a lot about vows. If you didn't listen to it, please go back to episode 15 and listen to that conversation where we're first talking about it. But I mean, obviously, the power of a vow, and we were talking about vows and oath, this is coming from our words. And our words have a lot of power, right? So, the question arises, like, the real use, like, what is the real use of a vow? And it's like, sometimes talk is cheap, people can take a vow, but when it comes to following through with it, sometimes people don't do it at all. And I kind of want to talk about, like, the breaking of a vow, or even an oath, now that we kind of talked a little bit about the difference, because I think that's a really big thing. When you break a vow or an oath, whether it's, for our listeners here, like, vows can be with your spouse, or it can be all kinds of stuff, and if you break it, it kind of, in a way, like, breaks the relationship.
Yeah, the way we defined it was an oath is like a promise that you give with outside authority as a witness.
Yeah.
And a vow is like you take with yourself as the witness. Like, you
That's beautiful.
really hold yourself responsible without outside authority. Like when you say, like, I'm on the witness stand and I say the oath, tell nothing but the truth. And then I lie, then I perjure myself, and then, the justice system is going to punish me. Like, they hold me responsible.
Right.
But if I, have a vow, like, that comes from inside of me and I break it, then only I am holding myself responsible, or my fate, or my karma.
That's really intense, because of course I have to think of the tarot archetypes, because, listeners, I'm going to be teaching a class on the tarot on September 1st, but, like, the vow is resting with the archetype of the Hierophant, right? So it's like, for me, like, based on what you said, like, a vow is really giving us the energy to put power into our speech, which would be like the Chariot, and also our actions.
It would be justice.
Yeah. So it would be like really interesting.
Yeah, vow is like
It gives you that power.
a credit that I take. Like it's
Yeah.
energy that I get in good faith, so to speak, because I vow to do something, and then pretty much instantly I get the energy to actually do
You
it.
get the energy to act, but there are people who actually use that energy in a negative way, like in a really
Yeah.
bad way.
Totally.
So, like, instead of using that energy to do the action that they vowed to do, they can use it to do other things.
Mm.
Like what? Like just
Anything.
yeah,
Sky's the
anything.
limit.
Anything.
Whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
They feel really good because all of a sudden, they have a lot of energy to do stuff, and then they go out and do a night of bar hopping for all I know. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
because the energy of the vow or the power of the vow that energizes you. I mean
Yeah.
that energy that you get to fulfill the vow, that's just there.
Yeah, so it's like really important, I guess, to just kind of like pay attention to what you say you're going to do and avoid making a vow that you're going to probably break.
Yeah, why not break a vow, but in order, to, if you change your mind, that, like, let's say the marriage vow is like one of the obviously more famous vows in our time, it has to be, you have to give it back. It has to be dissolved.
Right, right. So how do you do that?
They can,
You just give it back.
well, ideally, I guess the
Just that
two
simple.
people involved, they would, yes, give it back. Like they would set each other free from the binding power of the vow.
Mm-hmm.
But that's usually not how it is. Like in our society, it's more violent than that.
Mm-hmm. So, like, if there is this breaking of this vow, then it's kind of like the first question I was asking, like, then it breaks the relationship between the two people, even if, like, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, like, the vow can be broken even if you don't break it verbally.
Yeah, that's what happens
Yeah.
all
And
the
then
time
people
in
might
marriages.
not even, and people might not even be aware of it. Yeah, go ahead, please. Yeah.
No, because I think, this is like a really easily accessible or mentally accessible and understandable vow for our listeners, and to see how it works and what the consequences are. And, I already break marriage vow, let's say, if there is a fight and then I think like, oh my God, do I really need that? Rather than putting energy into, oh my God, how can I act differently so that this misunderstanding or whatever can be resolved, or that, we both can grow from it. So,
Well, here's something also really intense. Like, I think this is also a good example. Like, say someone cheats on their spouse.
yeah, that's obviously a big one.
And they don't, and that's a breaking of a vow. Unless
Definitely.
their vows don't include that.
Oh, like that when they take the vows, they say, okay, you are free to have other relationships.
Yeah, but let's just say that I'm just covering all the grounds, So like just pretend like okay,
It's
so
not polyamorous, but it's just a monogamous.
Yeah, I digress.
Marriage.
But let's just say there's infidelity and someone cheats on the spouse, and the other spouse doesn't know it. But that marriage, that relationship, and this is a metaphor. This is not only limited to marriage. But then that vow is broken. What happens in the relationship? I mean, aside from the selfish experiences of guilt, I mean, who cares about that? But like, what happens in that relationship when the vow is broken? Of course, this is metaphor, but like let's just talk about this example.
Well, that relationship, as it was, no longer exists.
But the one who was cheated on doesn't know that they were cheated on, but the energy in the relationship shows. So I mean, like, you could be in a relationship that's having broken vows and you would never even consciously really know it, only experientially, like, just it'd be like something just isn't working, or you know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
there'd just be like discord and distrust and paranoia and the need to control.
Mm.
The need to over-explain. Probably the need to control would come up in a situation like that.
Well, it just wouldn't be the relationship that you agreed to when you took the vow.
It would bring chaos into the relationship, into the environment. It'd bring chaos. Like, where is this chaos coming from? But that's what I find just so intense. Like, the vow can be broken and you wouldn't even know it.
Yeah, but you just said you would know it, and I hold we would know it even if it would not be outspoken.
That's what I mean. Like, it might not even be... Like, you wouldn't even know that the vow was broken, but you would experience the broken vow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because then that relationship is chaotic.
Yeah.
So...
the foundation of the relationship no longer exists.
So then if you just, like, annul the vow, then are you scot-free?
Well, then you have to deal with the things that you did on your own. I mean,
I really don't think so.
The actions that you took, they're still...
I think you can only annul a vow if you haven't fulfilled it yet. Like, so, like, say, for example... I mean, of course, as always, you correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, say, for example, in a relationship, like a business relationship, for example, the two partners vow to, like, create this product and get it out on the market, okay? And then, let's say that, you know, they never even create the product, so then they can annul the vow because it hasn't happened. Whereas if, like, they did create the product and then one of them broke the vow, like, then you can't really annul it because it's been broken.
No, I mean, you can just, give it back.
Yeah, giving it back, okay. Yeah, but then you still have to deal with all those effects that you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Like, I mean, that would be then, ideally, that would be a divorce, like an amicable divorce, how it's called. Mm-hmm. And you do that before you break the vow, ideally.
Yeah.
You just say, okay, we took these vows and we went from A to B, and now we cannot move from B to C, because how you always say some relationships are like for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, and that maybe that was for a reason and that has been fulfilled, and then it's over and you both realize that and you give the vow back and you move on, and nothing happened.
Well, I mean, I know one thing that happens is, this is ageless, right? And this is, we know that reality is timeless. Like, there's no such thing as time. And when you take a vow, it's as if it's already been done.
Yes.
But if it doesn't get did, right? If it doesn't get done, I know that what happens is that it creates an opening for negative energy to move in onto that vessel.
100%.
Onto that space. Because you have, like, the, invisible realm, and then you have the physical realm. And when you take the vow, it's as if it's done already on the invisible, and then we have to reveal it on the visible. And if you don't do it, it's still as if it's finished. But on the visible, the negative energy can move in on that. And these empty shells, these potentials, they become like a feeding ground for negative energy. And I know that's really intense, but you know, that's I think this giving it back can also, and it was really freaking me out actually, is like how you can have vows from past lives, you know, that you have then I have all these potential around you, but like you just have these like demonic vultures feeding on them, like
100%.
I mean, man, it's really tough being a human.
It really is. But on the other hand, you know, it's tough to be anything, and it's good to be human because we're the only ones who can do anything about it. So if you know, look at it again like a credit, let's just say it's money. Okay, so you take the vow, and then it's as if it's already fulfilled. So that means, you know, the energy that you get now. This is like $100,000.
Yeah,
okay?
exactly. Oh, okay. Yeah,
because that would be.
I know where you're going with that. It's nice.
That would be the money you need, or the energy you need to fulfill that vow. Okay. But then, you know, you don't do it because all of a sudden you go like, oh, $100,000. Oh my God. You know, I want to buy this and I want to buy that. So you go out and you buy a car and you buy clothes and you do this. And then, you know, in a couple of days, 100,000 are gone. And you have not done anything you decided to do.
Yeah.
So now, obviously, there is a discrepancy because the thing that you were supposed to be doing and the thing that you actually did, and that's the space where negativity can move in.
Beautiful.
Now, if we stay again just with a simple example of the material world, you know, then your creditors would come, like Luigi, and says, hey, you know, you either do this now or you give me my 100,000 back. You cannot do it and you cannot give it back, so you're in deep, deep trouble.
Well, I mean, that's really intense because how many times do we rationalize things that we have not completed? I mean, you guys can think about that during the break. We'll be right back after this. This episode of Ageless is brought to you by Speechless. This is our spiritual program where we go beyond the fake news and beyond the apparently true news and talk about life and everything that's going on in the world. If you're interested, please ask me for a link or find it in the description or the comments, and we guarantee you what we talk about there will leave you speechless. So we were talking again about what's happening when you're breaking vows and oaths, and how many times we rationalize anything that we haven't completed. Like, you know, excuses after excuse after excuse after excuse. I didn't do this because that. I didn't do this because that. The field doesn't care. But
yeah, because, you know, like the vow, like if we talk about the marriage vow or something like that, that's obviously like a high vow already, but like technically what we are talking about goes from a simple promise to the biggest vow, the vow to your teacher.
So actually, yeah, because that was a really interesting example that you gave, and I wanted to talk about that because in Buddhism, okay, so like really, you know, let's open the mind here. In Buddhism, like there is this thing where students or potential students, I guess, like they'll take a vow with the guru. But to me that sounds more like an oath, because that's like in front of somebody else, in front of many people sometimes, like in these big ceremonies where you get the lei over your head and stuff, and I feel like this is really more of an oath than a vow.
No, I don't see it that way because, I mean, if you have a marriage vow, that's also something that, you know, is administered by somebody else. Like, you know, and you can, and still it's a vow. So in this regard, you can imagine like the guru would be the spouse, so to speak.
But why would I want to marry the guru?
Why would I want to marry anyone? I mean, if that's the question. Because it's an intimate relationship, and in my personal experience of transformation, you really need somebody you can trust with your life to guide you through the stages of transformation.
Mm-hmm. But do you think it's important to vow to yourself before you vow to a guru or somebody else?
Always the first vow is to be to yourself.
I think most people skip that part and they just go straight into making vows with other people or for things that they want or whatever. I think it's really important actually to make a vow to yourself, because if you don't have a vow to yourself, there's no way for the spirit to stay anchored into the body.
No, you will break it. I mean, this is why most of the vows that, people do take knowingly or unknowingly are being broken.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even take them seriously. I mean, I have seen many, many people in those ceremonies that you mentioned taking all kinds of vows, and then, 3 weeks later they acted as if that never had happened.
Well, yeah, because that's exactly what you were actually just saying, and I wanted to touch a little bit upon that more. Is like, where you break this vow really to yourself, right? Because that's the first vow, like to your central self, so to speak. And people, they justify and rationalize like, oh, I'm just gonna do this today and I won't do it again for like a month or whatever. Like just being a little bit selfish here and there and justifying it. And that's like breaking a vow. It's kind of intense. I mean, when you put it that way, but like,
yeah,
but I guess it's true, because I mean, these different, like, with Buddhism, like all these different religions and stuff, or spiritual systems, like they have all these rules and stuff, and you have to abide by them, and
like precepts, you mean, or what?
Yeah, or just like, no eating meat on Friday, or you have to go to church on Sunday, or you have to do like
precepts.
100,000 prostrations, and like all these things, which I think probably I'm just realizing that right now actually is like probably what they do is they build your vessel so that you can even be in a position to make a vow to yourself.
100%.
Because it requires a lot of strength, and I think so many people just skip that part. Again, I'm repeating myself, but like really making a vow to yourself, and not to the ego, because of course that's easy. Of course I make a vow to my ego.
Oh, I wanted my power. I get into my power.
I get into my power.
No, that's egotistical.
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, that union of spirit and matter. That marriage of really having that spirit into the body.
Yeah, and whether it's,
which is amazing.
Not eating meat on Friday, that would help you to restrict, because maybe just on Friday is the day, it's Friday night and we go out, and it's just on Friday night we want to eat meat, but then you have restriction, and this is giving you more strength. Or you do these 100,000 prostrations, man, there's a lot of restriction, because trust me, I've done it, and there are days you really don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But you have to do it anyway, and at the same time, it really strengthens your body.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you need to have that strength in order to really commit to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess like a vow is about action. It's not just about, oh, I take a vow so I can, hang the plaque on my wall and look at me, how holy I am. Like, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, and I mean, a good teacher will tell the student that, and the student may still not believe it. But, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Because I have seen this happen many times, especially like when you mentioned Buddhism, that, like I have known this one woman, it was really tragic. What she thought was that like entirely misguided understanding of Tantra.
Mm-hmm.
She was like stalking and trying to get every monk or yogi into bed because she thought, okay, so then if she has sex with them, then she will reach enlightenment.
Mm. I mean, yeah, I understand. I mean, the purpose, one of the main things you need to do in this life is to transform.
Yeah.
And you need basically to make a vow to do that because
Yes.
why? It's not easy.
Not at all, and you
It's-
have to do it yourself. No one can do it for you.
You know, and that's like even having, having sex with all these, spiritual people, quote unquote, obviously. I mean, I'm making bunny ears with my fingers, you can't see me.
Yeah, this is how like all these scandals in Buddhism came to be, because all these Me Too women wanted to have their shot at enlightenment,
Wait, whoa. What? There was Me Too movement in these circles? Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
That's intense. I remember that, actually. Yeah, that's really intense. I mean, yeah, you gotta have the vow to yourself, because if you don't have the vow to yourself, there's no way, even if you take, you will immediately break vow. But it's better to not take a vow than to take a vow and break it, because you take a vow and you break it, it creates more chaos than if you don't take the vow and you just work your way up to figuring out what that even means in the first place. Do I understand that correctly?
Yes. 100%.
Because otherwise you're just creating chaos and kind of like unintentional issues.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Okay.
And if we bring it back again, to another level of reality, like our marriage vow, it's better to be single if I feel like I want to be promiscuous, and I cannot commit, or I'm emotionally unavailable because I'm either dealing with a lot of pain and hurt, or I'm just simply selfish. It's just better to be alone and to not say, okay, then I marry and and be
I put up
emotionally,
with it.
yeah, emotionally unavailable in that marriage. It's like,
I mean, that's really intense. Like, I don't want to I mean, of course, it's case by case, for all the listeners here, but yeah, that really makes sense. Like, if you're in a relationship and you're just kind of like unhappy and you can't really explain why, like, I'm talking like unhappy with yourself, I guess what it's really about. Like, I mean, of course, like, you can put on a show for others and that's what the ego does, but like really if you're really unhappy inside, then it could be like the vow had been broken, and it could have been 5 minutes ago, it could have been 5 years ago, hell, it could have been 5 lifetimes ago. But it's like, yeah, and then then that's like where you really need a specialist, like a teacher, to just come and say, hey, there's a broken vow there that needs to be looked at, and in order to do that, you need to have a vow to yourself so that you can even listen to someone telling you something that absurd.
Yeah, that's funny and true. 100%, because the vows that have been broken, they can also only to be restored then through certain measures.
Yeah.
And
beautiful.
And you cannot do that on your own.
No, you can't. You need that administrator, like we were talking about.
And if we go back to religion, like a simple way of explaining it in Catholicism would be confession.
That's a very good point, because actually, as soon as that I think is like probably the last things I want to say. It's like with this energy of confession. When you notice the disturbing energy, when you notice the negative energy that you have caused, or that, really, that you have caused, it's very important to immediately confess it.
Yes.
Because if you just, whatever, it's gonna fester.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna be there. So if you can make a confession as soon as it happens, it's almost like as if like it never even happened, and then you get a lot of good energy from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I really just think that the marriage vow is such a good example.
It is a good
because
example.
If you look at
it's relationships, that's what life's all about.
Yeah, the tarot card of the lovers, right? There are the two people, and then there is the angel, and the angel is the silent witness. It's not like with an oath that you give it to the angel. No, but you vow to each other, but the angel is the witness of it.
Yeah.
And so if you break the vow, then instantly you have to confess it to the witness.
Yeah.
And then the witness, like the angel in that case, can then take steps to mend the chaos.
I totally want to talk about false confessions in another episode because now we're out of time, but this has been really interesting, and I hope it helps you guys out there in actual space. Remember cyberspace?
Oh God, yes. Thank God we're ageless.
Okay. Well, this has been Arik
and Aurelia.
And you've just listened to an episode of
Ageless.
Thank you for listening. Please subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're everywhere. And if you're interested in taking my tarot class in September, please leave a comment, contact me, ping me, hit me up. We are here for you guys. All right, take care. Bye.
Bye.